something extraordinary or not normal. So I think that's only the tip that we're getting it. And also, like, we said this before with like other UFO cases or close encounter cases, alien abduction, you name it. You coming out and saying these things makes you look crazy.
It does, absolutely, yeah.
So you're putting yourself out there, whether it did happen, you believe it did happen, or it didn't happen, or it's something that happened to you and it's totally unexplainable. You know, you're putting yourself out there on the line saying that something weird happened to me or I saw something weird takes a lot of guts. So, because you don't want to be looked at as if you are there's something wrong with you, which we need to go forward on that the way society views people who need who have mental issues needs to change. But even with this, it makes you look like you're a couple of screws loose. Just a couple of screws loose.
I don't know. Do you remember in the movie JFK? I feel like we reference this movie so much on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that scene when one of the witnesses that saw like a flash or a bang from the grassy knoll, and they're in like an interrogation room, and some FBI or CIA agent's like, "You didn't see that. That's not what you saw. You saw a shot coming from the book depository." And like, I don't know. To me, that probably happened, especially back then, probably a lot more often than anyone would care to admit. Like, this is the official line, and if you say something else to the press, we're gonna come after you and your family, or you're gonna lose your job, or some sort of thinly veiled threat. So
right.
You know,
yeah, and that's a perfect example of making someone doubt what they've seen.
Yeah, you gaslight them, essentially.
Yeah, you're gaslighting them, essentially, and that's what the people who claim to have had encounters with Men in Black also are saying. That's totally believable, but it just comes up to the fact that why? Okay, I can see the fact that people would say that these people in black suits are coming to ask questions and stuff like that. But some of these stories that they're saying that these men, how they reacted or acted, or just absolutely straight. Here, let's take this perfect example.
Yeah, let's get into the stories. Absolutely, we're just before we hear any of the stories. So
yeah, let's hear the story of Dr. Herbert Hopkins. He was a consultant working on a UFO case in Maine back in I believe, the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
And one evening, his family had went out, and he was home alone working on this UFO case. He received a phone call for someone purporting to be an activist in a UFO community and asking him if he can visit his home because he had some information on the UFO case that Dr. Hopkins was working on. So Dr. Hopkins said, okay, he would. And he went to flip on the light on his porch to show where his address is. And as he was flipping the light on, he happened to look outside, and the person who had called him to talk about this case was walking up the stairs.
Oh, that's weird. So, I mean, it's obviously, you said 50s, so no cell phones.
Yeah, they had no cell phones at the time. Yeah, and literally the nearest payphone, he said, was like a couple of blocks down from his home.
Mm-hmm.
So he said it was impossible for someone to make that phone call and then immediately be at his stairs walking up.
I mean, unless there was multiple men involved.
It could be, but he said it was the same. The doctor said it was the same person who had made the phone call.
Interesting. So this guy's there on his porch right after he makes the phone call.
Yes, the doctor describes the man as wearing a black suit, a black tie. It had very unusual facial features, like no hair or eyebrows, and he was extremely pale person. Dr. Hopkins' dog began barking erratically the minute the man entered the home. He introduced him. He really didn't introduce himself, but he went to sit down and started asking Dr. Hopkins about questions about the case. So after this man in black was done asking questions about the case, the visit got even stranger. Here's how it went. Now, this is according to Dr. Hopkins, as reported to the website The Night Sky. The men in black informed Hopkins there were 2 coins in Hopkins' pocket, which, yes, he did have 2 coins in his pocket, I think 2 pennies. He asked them to remove one. Dr. Hopkins replied and held the coin, a shiny new penny, in the palm of his hand. The man in black told Dr. Hopkins to watch the coin closely. After a few moments, the coin took a silvery appearance and then appeared to be going out of focus. It then began to fade and eventually disappeared altogether. The man in black informed Hopkins that the coin would never be seen on this plane again. He then inquired as to whether Hopkins was familiar with the alleged UFO abductee Barney Hill. Oh, okay, this is during the 60s. I'm sorry, not the 50s, the 60s. But still, there was no cell phones. Dr. Hopkins replied that he heard of Barney Hill, but was under the impression that he had died in not too distant past. The MiB informed Hopkins that it was correct. Barney didn't have a heart, said the men in black, just like you will no longer have a coin. It should be noted that Barney Hill had actually passed away from a stroke, cerebral hemorrhage. Mm. The man in black was gently suggested Hopkins destroy any material he had related to the case, and then left. Dr. Hopkins then burnt every file he had related to the case because he was so scared from that encounter. He then said he had repeated phone troubles after the phone company said his line had been tampered with, but he never saw the man in black again.
Okay, so he came and essentially this man in black threatened Dr. Hopkins and told him to destroy all the evidence.
Yes.
And he complied, and they never showed up again.
Yes.
Do we know what UFO case he was working on, or no?
Let me see if I can bring it up.
I mean, is it like a famous one? I'm just asking, like, is it one we've covered before?
I don't think it's one we've covered, but it might be. Can't find it.
It's okay. It's okay. You don't have to spend time.
Yeah, I'll bring it up another time. But I think it was relatively famous from Maine. But yeah, this is what, according to Dr. Hopkins, it said it happened with this man in black.
So this is what I was going to ask a little while ago. Is the question about men in black like shaking down people and threatening them and like having them change their narrative from eyewitness testimony, or are we alleging that the men in black themselves are extraterrestrial?
That's both theories that's going around, that these men are from some unknown, that one side say that these men are for some unknown military branch, whether they're working with the Army or the Air Force or the CIA or the FBI or NSA, or maybe all of them combined, or some secret agency we never even heard of. And there's some coming from the camp that these men in black are alien race from some different dimension or different world that are trying to keep people, but both of them are trying to keep people quiet about UFO encounters.
They work for an intergalactic PR agency. They're trying to mitigate damage from UFO witnessing.
Yes, exactly.
That's too funny. Okay, yeah, I thought there was some speculation about them being otherworldly. Okay, that's fine. Continue.
Yeah.
Continue. Yeah.
Yeah, there are also these Men in Black. There's some that thinking that it's both, that it's a government agency filled with uh, aliens, half aliens, half.
Hello.
Still there?
I am. I am. You definitely cut out for
Yes,
a
yeah,
second.
he did.
Yeah.
Did for a second. Sorry about that, folks. I was saying that some people say that that it's a combination of both. That they're aliens and they're working for the government. Some people are saying that they're related to the New World Order. Not Hulk Hogan and WCW and that stuff, but conspiracy theory with the New World Order. They want to take over the world. They have one world government, or they're these.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. That's getting ridiculous.
yes.
That's Alex Jones stuff right there.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, actually, I'm not just like being funny. That's like what he used to believe. I don't know what he believes
Yeah,
now,
no,
but
that was before. This predates Alex Jones. This is where Alex Jones got crazy. And this is what made the Alex Jones and motherfuckers like that for. This has been going on for years. This predates Alex Jones. So also that they're connected with these Men in Black could be connected with the Majestic 12, which a case we'll get to at a later date on Weekend Weird. I mean, there's so many theories that's going out here. What is the Men in Black? Who are they? Where they come from? But their MO is pretty similar. Well, solid. Is they come, they ask questions, they try to intimidate people. Sometimes it works. The ones that work, we really don't know about. Most of them, and sometimes it doesn't. God, they were the Men in Black. Were sent and started asking questions of witnesses during the Mothman sightings back in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. They were asking questions about that. They were supposedly Men in Black were there at the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, along with in the days after, not the initial night that they had seen the little green men, but the days afterwards, they're supposedly there. They were supposedly asking questions about the Flatwoods Monster in West Virginia, also another case we'll get to a Weekend Weird. They were supposedly seen asking questions during Kenneth Arnold's sightings when he first with the modern day flying saucer encounters had started. They weren't really. Some say they were. Some say they weren't asking questions during the Roswell incident. Yeah, it just varies a lot with these things. And
no,
go ahead.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, no, it makes sense. There's speculation that they've been present in all these incidents, but there's obviously a few of them that stand out more than others. Is there other ones similar to Dr. Hopkins's?
Yeah, there's the story of Albert K. Bender, who was a well-known and extremely brilliant researcher who founded the International Flying Saucer Bureau. In 1955, his research was about to yield serious fruit as he prepared to unveil a paper that would prove the U.S. government had, to one degree or another, covered up the proof of UFOs. He planned to publish his findings in the Space Review. That was until he was visited by the Men in Black. This is according to an article. Bender claims that 3 men, all dressed in black, visited him at his home and warned him against pursuing the topic of UFOs any further. The men left Bender scared for his life and immediately shut down all his research in the Flying Saucer Bureau. Many people who knew him claimed that Bender was a changed man after his encounter. His later works were rambly, almost unreadable, and he seemed to live his life in constant anxiety and terror. He's purported to have still received mysterious phone calls with no one on the other end